Hey everyone, welcome to Retaliatory Strike. Today we have a game between myself, Ryan, playing Legion, and Chris, playing Mercenaries. The matchup today is Ryhas versus Ashlynn 1, as per requested by Mr. Malorian. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. Today I'm playing Ryhas 1 in Children of the Dragon. So I have Ryhas with a Carnivean, a Naga Nightlurker, a Nephilim Bloodseer, a Nephilim Protector, Zuriel, and a Succubus for battle group. For solos, I have Annyssa Ryvaal, a Blighted Nyss Shepherd, Craelix, the Fang of Everblight, 2 Forsaken, and a minimum unit of Blighted Nyss Archers with the command attachment and ammo porter, and a maximum unit of Blighted Nyss Raptors. So I'm really wanting to, with this list, it's mostly I put the Protector in there, so then Ryhas has Riposte and is high defense, and then can also put up Ornery, so if they go into Ryhas, I have, if you miss me, I can possibly crit decapitate whatever missed me, and if I get hit, I can possibly crit decapitate the model that hit me. I have the Bloodseer with the Carnivean, so then the Bloodseer can go up in front and take the alpha, being armor 22 with unyielding and spiny growth. And I put in the archers into the list to escort Craelix up the board for the most part. And they're fairly good at hunting solos as well, so that's kind of their role. And then Annyssa and the Raptors for being speed 10 under dash and being able to just move really fast and hopefully control part of the board.
Hi everyone, my name's Chris. Today I'm playing Ashlynn 1 in Llaelese Resistance. This is a list I've played around with. I've got a buddy who really loves Ashlynn. He's getting into the game, so I've played around with variants of this list for a while. Ashlynn's battle group is she's controlling a Nomad, a Swabber, and a Vanguard. We've got Boss Machorne running a Mangler. I've got Anastasia di Bray. I've got Terran de Llaelese. I've got the Morrowan and Thamarite Archeon. And the full unit of of Arcane Tempest gun mages, as well as a unit of Thorn gun mages. And a unit of Stormblade Infantry with 1 Storm Gunner and the Officer because Assault makes them better. So Stormblades Quicken makes them really effective for what they are. They love being speed 7. The gun mages all get snipers, so there are times when that's a really nice thing to have. Boss Machorne and the Mangler really adds to the hitting power of the list. And the battle group is mostly designed to compensate for the fact that I got a lot of POW 10 gun mages.
Deployment. So we rolled off and I won the roll off and chose to go first. Chris picked side. For terrain on the board, at the bottom left we have water. Just above that is a burning cloud template. To the right of that is a wall. In the middle zone there is a forest. Just above that is a trench. And then to the right of it is rubble. And then just above the trench is a burning forest, and at the top of the top zone is a house. For my deployment, I go Ryhas in the middle, and I put the archers just above her, so then when I put dash up and walk up, they'll, for the most part, be affected by it. I put the Carnivean and the Bloodseer across from Chris's zone there, so then they can go and really pressure that zone. And then I put the Raptors down there as well to really push that zone. And then I have Zuriel up at the top, and then the Naga Nightlurker with the Shepherd very top. They're out of control right now, but the Shepherd can have them force and then condition off, so they're going to be their own little pod to go score my zone there.
So moving over to me, we decided that rubble was just rough terrain. It doesn't provide cover. I've got a lot of line of sight blocked on my side of the table, so I'm going to move in a couple lanes here. The Thorn gun mages are going to go at the very top. They're going to hopefully get into that zone. on Ryan's side and contest and be annoying to deal with behind the house. Just below them, the regular Arcane Tempest gun mages are going to shoot for that zone. They've got a long threat range. They can duel with Ryan's archers quite well. On the bottom, I want to put the Thamarite Archeon because I suspect Ryan's going to put Occultation on the Raptors, and the Thamarite Archeon's True Sight ignores that. It can also hit them fairly reliably and kill them quite effectively. In the middle, I'm going to put Ashlynn just beside the Morrowan Archeon there. And then I put the Stormblades just below the gun mages. I decide I want them sort of in front. They're going to shoot for the gap and maybe hide in the trench there. Up in the drop pod, you can see I've sort of got Terran de la Ravisi, and she's going to end up deploying up there to extend her threat range a bit.
Legion, turn 1. Pretty standard turn 1. I'm going to run for the most part. So I am going to go with Rhyas first. She puts up dash and occultation on the Raptors. And I also prayed the Thamarite Archeon with Annyssa, forgetting that Archons don't count as living models. And then she just walks up there. And then I go with the Raptors, and I'm making sure they stay out of the walk and shoot range of Terran, because I don't want to lose them for no reason, top or bottom of 1. And then I run up Annyssa behind them. I then run up the Bloodseer and the Carnivean to back them up for if anything does get into them. I move up the Succubus and put a cloud on Rhyas. Might as well make her as hard to shoot as possible. And then I rile and run my Protector, and then I move up the Forsaken, and they each pull 1 off of the Protector, so then they can Blight Burst if necessary, at least 1 inch out from them. I check the Mage's threat range and run up Craelix, and then I move up a bunch of the Archers to be sack pawn for him if he does get any shots into him. So they just run, and about 3 of them weren't in the dash range. And then I run Zuriel up to where he is there. And then I run the Naga Nightlurker up, and then walk up for Shepherd and Condition.
Mercenaries, turn 1. So Ryan forgot about True Sight on the Thamarite Archeon. It threats a long ways, and staying out of its threat range sort of keeps most things out of the game. And I got a couple different things to check. Ryan did a good job staying out of my threat ranges, so Terran's gonna just run up behind the forest, clear out the rubble for other models. This Nomad's gonna run up, hide behind the clouds because Raptors are still weapon masters, and then the Thamarite Archeon's gonna dial up his mighty one shot and not kill that one Raptor in range. So good job, Dice. The Swabber's going to run in front of it, sort of block some line of sight, also just being a shield guard. If Ryan wants to charge into it, it's fine. It's not a critical part of the list. Morrowan Archeon ran up, and I wanted to keep it out of Rhyas' threat range, just sort of get an idea of where Rhyas can get to. Ashlynn's going to go up into the rubble after putting Quicken onto the Stormblades, and then she's going to put Admonition onto the Nomad. Stormblades are going to run up. I'm going to keep a couple of them in the trench. I want to keep the officer in the trench because I didn't mini feat. I also keep the officer in shield guard range with the Vanguard there. The Thorngun mages are going to run and hide behind the forest there. The Mangler and Boss Machorne are sort of intended to be a second wave. They're not quite as fast, but they can still hit really hard and be fairly accurate when I need them to.
Legion, turn 2. So I leech in all my fury and start planning things out. So Craelix is within 12, but just out of line of sight of Terran, and he does have Swift Hunter, so I'm looking to see if I can kill them. And then I remember that that we both took the healing objective, so my objective heals the Raptor for the 2 points of damage that it got from the Thamarite Archeon. Craelix aims, kills a Stormblade, Swift Hunter's up, hits Terran, he shield guards it, hits Terran again, and then on 3 dice I rolled and only did 4 points of damage to her. So that wasn't as ideal as I was hoping. After that, I'm looking here with my Raptors, so I move up Annyssa and I start shooting at the Thamarite Archeon. He shield guards 1 and I do a couple points of damage. And then I'm looking for my reposition, and I realized that my Carnivean would be able to assault at the Thamarite Archeon, and so I want to leave a lane for that. Because if I can remove the Thamarite Archeon this turn, that would be really good for me. But now I need to move the Raptors because they're in the way of the Carnivean, so they decide to charge in. So I charge in on the Swabber to get 1 impact there. Do no damage. The second one charges, doesn't get an impact. And then the other 2 are just within range of the Morrowan Archeon, so they're going to charge him, because if I could spike some damage and remove him, that would be huge for me. So the impact misses, and the other one doesn't get an impact, which is fine. So the first one into, and then the one couldn't get there, so I just run him. The first attack into the Swabber, I blow up the damage real good and cripple his cortex right away, so that's great for me. The second one chips a couple more points of damage in. I hit the Morrowan Archeon. I don't do any damage to him there. And then my other one misses. And then I'm repoing, and then I remember that I wanted to assault the Thamarite Archeon, so I do that, and then Chris was nice enough to let me move the guy that ran because I put him there as a stupid mistake. After that, I go with the Bloodseer, who puts up Spiny Growth and charges. And then I go with the Carnivean, so he assaults at the Thamarite Archeon after putting up Spiny Growth. And I hit the Swabber, light him on fire, do a couple points of damage. I boost to hit the Thamarite Archeon. I hit and I boost damage, and I rolled a 5, so he takes a couple points of damage and is lit on fire, but really wanted that roll to go better than it did. Other than that, so he's up there, and now I'm looking to see what to do on this other side of the board. So seeing what my archers can do. I go with Rhyas. She puts up dash and drops 1, so she's camping 2. And then my archers are gonna go, and a couple of them are out of the dash range, but it's okay. So they move up, and I'm trying to get them around Craelix for sack pawn targets at least. And then they move up, and most of them are gonna get 2 shots, so my first 2 are gonna shoot at Terran. They get re-rolls from the officer, so I shoot at her and I miss both times. And then I'm looking and I'm wanting to start removing Stormguard here, so I'm hitting fairly reliably with the re-rolls. And I shoot all the ones that aren't in the trench, as I'm needing 7s. And then, so I end up killing all the ones not in the trench, and I still have 2 more attacks. And I need 11s of the guys in the trench. And with my rerolls, my first one hits and kills, and then my second group go in and I end up hitting and killing the gunner as well. So they've done great work removing Stormblades. I then walk up Zuriel and I boost a spray into Terran. I hit and kill her, and then I'll put up his Animus Elusive, so he has dodge. After that, I move up my Forsaken. The one pulls 4 off of the Carnivean, and the other one moves up and pulls 1 off the Bloodseer. And then I move up the Naga Nightlurker, and he boosts to hit one of the Thorn gun mages, kills them, and then I move up the Shepherd to condition the Fury off. And that's my turn. Oh, here's the Protector going up to be within 3 of Rhyas for Shield Guard and Guard Dog.
Mercenaries, turn 2. Alright, so I took a little more damage than I expected that turn, but I gotta roll fire on an Archon, and it doesn't go out, and he takes a little more damage. Ashlynn's gonna get her 6 focus, and her the Nomad and the Vanguard will power up. Of course, the Swabber doesn't because Cortex is crippled. I'm going to allocate one to the Nomad so he can clear out those Raptors in front. I'm not going to upkeep Admonition, which I forgot to use, and I'm not going to upkeep Quicken because most of the Stormblades are dead. And then I'm going to activate the Nomad and boosting the hit. He just demolishes both of those Raptors. Ryan does his field promotion there. Thamarite Archeon, who survived, is going to slide in behind because he's got flying and parry, and he's going to dial up 2 shots and just not be able to roll 8s at all because 8s are hard. I'm gonna consider a couple other things. I moved the Swabber here. Ryan's kind enough to let me do readjust and do Ashlynn first. So every time I've played against this list, I've never been able to even hit Ashlynn on her feed turn. It's just been a bad experience every time. So I'm going to be aggressive with her. I'm going to charge her into the Bloodseer. She's going to put Admonition on herself. But as a weapon master, she can do some fairly significant damage. With dual attack, she's also got some pretty good targets with her gun, but she rolls pretty good. Doesn't quite cripple the mind on the light, and I'm thinking a couple things. The Forsaken is enough behind the wall that he would get cover. I can't get a line of sight on the Succubus, so I end up just putting her hand cannon shot into the Bloodseer as well, and scuffing it up a little more, and decide to buy an attack and then camp 2. So the Morrowan Archeon is going to charge in to Annyssa, and with 5 dice to hit, drop the lowest, drop 2 of my choice. It's probably going to get the critical, and even if it doesn't, it's just going to demolish her, so that worked. But I don't get close enough to bop the Bloodseer with my shield, which is unfortunate because I would have liked to blind it as well as make it sad. My Stormblades are going to charge into Zuriel. With Ashlynn's veteran leader, they go to mat 8, and because of my feet, I'm rolling 4 dice, drop the lowest. The officer hits and does 4 damage or something, and then the next guy misses because dice are hard. This Mangler here is going to get strike true. It can still charge because it's aggressive, and I can only get it in on 1 archer, but it's get at her, and no, we can't roll 5s. 4 dice is not enough for me. These Thorn Gun Mages are going to walk up and try to light the Nightlurker on fire. So the first one I just do single shots with, so it gets 2 shots, and they both hit and do a little bit of damage, and then the second one does both barrels and also hits, and just clears out its body and spirit, so that Shepherd's going to have to do some healing there. Boss Machorne's going to run into the trench, because in theory it should still help, even though Ryan's dice have been sort of making the extra cover not matter. But his Vanguard's going to walk up, he's going to stay in veteran leader, and I'm deciding on who to shoot. I was going to shoot the ammo porter, but Ryan tells me he's got take up. I could shoot Craelix, but he's got sack pawn, so I end up just shooting the officer for the archers and boost to hit, and I can actually get him. Then I've got a unit of gun mages, and they've got snipe as a shot type, so they can thread a long ways. Anastasia di Bray also came in this turn, and I positioned her to have a couple different targets. I decide I want to make Ryan consider whether he wants to take a free strike from her. I just don't do a whole lot with her. I probably should have ended up going into that Forsaken. I figure the Fury management's not going to matter if he just doesn't have a War Beast, and the Forsaken can't manage the Fury next turn anyway. So then these gun majors are going to go. They have a couple targets. I could shoot archers or I could shoot Zuriel, but of course Zuriel has 2-inch reach, so he's still in melee and he still has dodge up, so I end up not putting any shots into Zuriel. Dice are hard, as evidenced by this entire turn, and I don't want to give him all the extra movement. So I'm going to clear off most of the archer unit, and that's pretty much it for them. I expect Ryan to try and kill Ashlynn and just do what I always do and not spike dice very high. With admonition, she should be fairly safe.
Legion, turn 3. So I leech in all my fury and I see that Ashlynn's way far up, so I decide it's time to go for let's kill Ashlynn plan. So I can walk the Forsaken up and have Anastasia di Bray and Ashlynn in the Blight Bomb. So I do it, I kill Anastasia di Bray, and then I have 4 dice damage for Ashlynn, and I do 10 points of damage, which he fades to 5 points of damage. So good spike on that. Starting off real good. After that, I'm looking and I can't get the Forsaken in. Craelix could aim and shoot, but she's in combat. So I walk with Zuriel in behind her to hopefully push the admonition more towards my beasts, which happens, and then I do a spray. I boost to hit Ashlynn, I miss. I boost to hit on the Morrowan Archeon, I hit, and then I boost damage, and I get some damage in. I'm really hoping to remove the Archeon because the blinding radiance is fairly frustrating to play around. I don't end up killing him, so I do a charge with the Raptor, who gets to charge into the Archeon. I hit and chip a little bit more damage in, dice off 10. Can be a bit rough. Other than that, I chip a little bit of damage into the Swabber. And then I'm looking at where I want to reposition, and I decide that my Raptor is going to get in my own way, so I just take a free strike, which kills the Raptor, but not in my way anymore at least, so I got that going for me. And then here I'm looking to see if my Carnivean can just walk in and headbutt Ashlynn, because if I can knock her down, then her feat doesn't matter for her to hit, and Rhyas is going to be able to just murderize her real good. I can't quite get there though, but I can get within an inch and be in her back arc and then facing away from the Archeon, so I don't have the -2 to hit. I'm also considering slamming the Morrowan Archeon. I just have 3 inches between us, so I could slam it over, but I would need a 10 on 5 dice, dropping the 2 highest, and then I have 1 shot at doing it. So it's a lot of planning out here, and I'm looking with Rhyas if I need to put up dash to get behind her. I have parry and acrobatics, so I can get there easy enough. And there is a spot where I can get behind her and not be facing the Archeon, and that's great. So I decide I'm going to go with that plan. So I start with the Carnivean, who walks up, not facing. I boost to hit, and I miss. I boost to hit on a claw, and I hit the claw. And no, I miss the claw, and then I don't boost on the next claw, and I miss, and then I buy a bite and boost it, and it's dice +3, and I end up killing her to end the game. Afterthoughts. So for this game, I actually did hit my one claw attack into Ashlynn as well. I think overall, it was a kind of a gamble going for her, but between being able to get into the back arc and not being able to see the Morrowan Archeon, it was fairly safe for my assassination threat. First time really playing against Ashlynn. Is there anything in this game that you feel you could have done way better, or?
I was definitely way too aggressive. I've played a number of games against Ashlynn, but the guy I play against is rather more cautious than I am. So Ashlynn was pretty much right behind the Archon, which is the frontmost piece in my army, which she should not have been up that far. I probably didn't even need to feat that turn. I could have just slid her to the side or back a little bit and then gone in on the next turn. I just wanted to get my feet in before Ryan feated and sort of cancel him out a bit, maybe. I also need to roll better. Just if you can't hit 5s on 4 dice, dropping 2, then you just need to roll better. I need to practice that. That's the real skill that I need to get work on.
I think that was a big part of it too, was when my archers hit 11s with rerolls on the guys in the trench. That was a big, like, wow, I can't believe how well I'm rolling right now. Like, I don't like to blame dice for wins and losses and stuff, but every once in a while some go super cold and some go super hot.
Yeah, your dice definitely helped you a lot more than mine did, but ultimately I could have just played better. I do think the Stormblades should have used Iron Zeal on that first turn, because after one turn, even if I upkeep Quicken on them, they're definitely going to get into melee on their second turn. So then you're not going to be shooting at them as much, and they're not going to get as good of use out of Iron Zeal.
I know you were also considering that maybe possibly switching the Quicken over to the Arcane Tempest gun mages, so they're threat range of 22 instead of 20.
Yeah,
might be a good idea.
That probably wouldn't. That would have required me to reposition Ashlynn, but again, I clearly should have done that. I also sort of misdeployed the Swabber. So Ashlynn has Chosen Ground, which gives her and her battle group steady, and I decided I probably don't need it in this list because the Swabber has Lash, so if I put Ashlynn base to base with it, she can't be knocked down. But then I put the Swabber halfway across the field from her, and
so you had a plan while building the list, and then you got into the game and didn't follow through.
Yes, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, I every once in a while I'll be like, the plan for these two models is this, and then I'll put them like on opposite sides of the table. So definitely happens. I won the roll, and I think it was the correct choice to go first. The only mistake that I really made was forgetting that the Thamarite Archeon has True Sight. So then I ran models into there. With how fast my list is, I think it's better to go first with them.
Yeah, it gives you that extra scenario pressure. It makes it hard for opponents to contest, to even really threaten you at all. Raptors are just insane how far they go, and Dash makes that worse.
Yeah, speed 10 models are great.
Speed 10 models with guns are better.
Speed 10 with 12-inch guns, yeah, can be nuts. So you pick side. Do you feel that you picked the correct side, or do you, after playing the game, do you think maybe the other side might have worked better for your list?
I've thought about it. So that there was a 5-inch AOE, the Rebel template that whole time, and my list's fairly terrain agnostic. I think I have 3 models or 4 models that actually care about rough terrain. Everything else has Pathfinder or Flight in some way. I do think the trench helped. Even though you just rolled well enough to get around it, it did give me a position, and the idea was sound. I do think I ended up choosing the right side of the table.
Yeah. I was hitting 11s on 2 dice, which is definitely not a guaranteed or even likely roll, but I went for it because I had nothing else to shoot, and why not roll the dice if you can? Sometimes you can just out-dice an opponent sometimes, so I'm actually quite happy with how the archers performed with Escort and Craelix up the board, because it made possibly trying to shoot them off the board way less likely, which was nice.
It's always good to bring guns in any list with melee threats, because it clears your lanes so you can land, so you don't take free strikes. It's just a good thing to have, especially long range guns, and with the combined CRA and the rerolls, they are fairly accurate. They're good for that roll.
I am really looking forward to the CID update where they're getting repositioned, plus the ammo porter just needs to be in formation to give the 2, instead of like, it's 2 really great rules for them. They probably only needed 1 of each, because the issue was you'd have to bunch them up for the ammo porter, especially if you had a maximum unit, and then they would get blown up by AoE, so then you really wanted the reposition to spread them back out. And then, but then they gave them both of them, which might be a bit too much, but overall, I'm looking forward to that change at least. Same with Zuriel getting dual attack. I think that's going to be a really cool, and kill shot too as well. I think that's going to be a really big improvement for him.
Yeah, you definitely would have been able to do more with him on turn 2 there.
Yeah, because I would have been able to spray down Terran and then spray down more Stormguard or Stormblades. So I am looking forward to the updates. Other than that, do you have any last parting thoughts?
Roll better.
Yeah,
don't roll bad.
Game's easy when you bring your loaded dice, right?
That was a fun game.
Yeah, it was a fun game, and I hope Mr. Malorian enjoys it, seeing as he requested it. Other than that, thanks for watching, and this has been Retaliatory Strike.